This is Sports Radio 910's Gary Hess along with Gary Criswell. We're at Hermitage High School where tonight in the Division VI Central Region Championship game, the Panthers shut out the LC Bird Skyhawks 10-0, and for the second straight year, the Panthers are the regional champions.
You know, it was a great effort by Hermitage, and it culminated a season that this day and time you have to dream about. Defense gave up 7 points all year long. The first team defense, they gave up just around 50 points. In a 12-game season is unheard of, and to pitch 2 straight shutouts in a Central Region playoff, just a great feat.
This is a defense, and it's amazing because Curtis Grant had so much of the attention last year, and several other guys left that team via graduation. But this unit, 11 guys deep, may be better.
They're certainly harder to solve. They're certainly harder. I think they're harder to block consistently. I think they're more consistent on defense. They're kind of a rare combination. They can throw you for losses. They can blitz you, and they can set you back in the drive, or they can limit you to 2 or 3 downs on first and second down, and then still defend you pass wise. And then you have great perimeter pursuit where they don't give up the big plays. It's a total defense.
Offensively, they're kind of a I formation, kind of grind it out with Derek Green, the running back, Dylan Jackson doing just enough at quarterback.
And they're going to have to get more out of Dylan Jackson going forward. But as I thought would happen, they gave him more of a role in the offense. I think he did a really great job at 4 of his completions. He actually brought his receivers down because the balls were hard to catch, and they either stepped out of bounds or they fell down trying to make the play. And he's going to have to do better at the next level. But it was a nice start. He certainly was in control of his emotions, in control of his team. I think I'd give him a B- for his effort. A couple of unforced errors that kind of set Hermitage back and kept him from taking control in the first half. But I think he can make that step up for the next level of the playoffs.
At this moment, we don't know who Hermitage will play next week because Saturday, Westfield against Centerville in the Northern Region Division VI Central Region Championship game. The winner of that game comes here to Hermitage next Saturday. We'll have that game for you on Sports Radio 910 or sportsradio910.com. In general, how do you think Hermitage matches up in that game?
Well, we don't know if it's going to be Westfield or Centerville, but in the immortal words of Stu Brown, they talented.
It's right.
and it's going to be, like I always like to say, most of the time when we go into the next level, I always talk about being able to step up your game, get used to the speed, get used to a different type of style of play. Up north they have a tendency that they occasionally will bring a team out that throws the ball all over the place. Other times they spread it out, and sometimes you even get an old-fashioned power football team, occasional single wing type team, but they all have one thing in common. They have unusually large offensive and defensive linemen, and usually pretty physical, and they usually have enough skill position to really get it done. It'll be a challenge. It's a challenge every year for every Central Region team at the state semifinal level. We've been spoiled the last 2 years.
Now, before we get to Division 5 very quickly, just a very quick comment about the great year Bird had and the sensational career of Yaki Johnson.
Yaki Johnson probably gets as much out of his physical tools as anybody I've ever seen, especially the way he follows blocks. But I wouldn't sell him short as far as his physical ability too. He's got good burst of speed. He's got great vision. He cuts well. The field gave him a hard time today. It was a tough way for him to go out, under 70 yards. It's a tough way for his team to lose. But it was a great season for Lloyd C. Bird. In a lot of ways, both of these coaching staffs probably did the best job of coaching at least the teams that we saw. I see the fewest amount of flaws as far as fundamentals and stuff between these two teams. And that's a tribute to the coaching staff and what they put together. There may have been some teams that improved more and teams that had better seasons than they expected, and those coaching staff did a great job. But at the championship level, it's hard to argue with the coaching jobs that were done in Hermitage and Lloyd C. Bird.
In Division 5, Hanover wins the regional title by beating Atlee 31-12. Hawks coach Josh Just has done a great job when you consider the adversity of losing quarterback Sam Rogers, bringing him back, putting him in that slot position, the Kirk Rowley position as he calls it, and bringing in Kisner at quarterback. It's worked for the Hawks.
It's definitely worked for the Hawks. It's also the fact that I think they felt like they had to reclaim what might be taken away from them. You know, it's hard enough to give up anything to any Capital District rival, but to give it up to the school that's only a couple of miles away from you, you know, just unheard of for the Hawks. And they, you know, let's face it, they had more playoff tested players. So when all the chips are on the line, those guys have been there before. I think that was a big factor in the game.
Yep, so Hanover next week plays up at South County. Hermitage here against Westfield or Centerville. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports Radio 910 or sportsradio910.com.